and onto Carnival Night Zone. I wonder if I can get down here. It does actually look like there's something down there, but I don't think you can get down there. Sometimes when I see this level in action, it makes me wonder how on earth did they make a Mega Drive look so colourful? But I suppose at this point they really were experts at getting the most out of the machine. And it's not all about programming tricks, it's just about being very selective. I think a lot of people don't like this level, but I never really had that. I never really disliked this level. No, Tails, don't land on that. Tails always messes up my timing on those platforms. So I think this level's in the game because they had Casino Night Zone in Sonic 2. And they realised that that was a really popular level. Hey, Power Sneakers. And it does sort of showcase the other side to Sonic, that it's not all about speed, it's also about Sonic turning into a ball and being a pinball that bounces around. So this is the bouncy level. So this is one of 3 zones that has, I don't really want to call it Michael Jackson music. Music that is pretty much confirmed at this point to be from Michael Jackson's team. Avoid those spikes. There's a bit of a trap there. Yeah, this is the first of 3 zones that used music from Michael Jackson's team. Nobody outside of Sega has heard the original demo tapes, but I've got a feeling that this didn't translate very well to the Mega Drive, and that's why it sounds like it does. You can sort of hear it is pretty catchy underneath it all, but it really doesn't translate well to the Mega Drive. I'm looking at my timeline here, and this is the longest of the last 3 zones. I don't really know why this one takes so long to get through. Maybe it's just the biggest level. There is a blue Knuckles somewhere on that signpost. This is where we see that even this zone is underwater, again showing you that the whole place is flooded because it's fallen into the sea. So yeah, this level bounces you around quite a lot, and that sort of thing started with Spring Yard Zone in Sonic 1. But it really isn't that obnoxious. There's not really any points in this zone that bounce you back to where you came from in a frustrating way. And you get that a lot in Sonic CD. Maybe it was a conscious decision by the level designers not to make this all that frustrating. So here's one of those barrels of doom. It is possible to get underneath this, so I was curious to see what is actually down there, because there's always a potential for hidden areas. Let's go see what's down there. It is harder than it looks. Oh, great. Alright, well that's what's down there. Maybe the reason this section of the video is so much longer than the rest is because I keep dying. I don't actually remember because it's been quite a long time since I recorded this footage. If I don't get at least 5 million views for this video, then it won't be worth it. Because it's taken me such a long time. I suppose I could have just recorded this on a Mega Drive Mini or something. Although I'm a little bit reluctant to buy things like that because I just sort of think, I own the game already. We bloody paid enough for it back in the day. Even though this game was only half of the game, it still cost about £60, I think. Well, here's Knuckles and his button pressing antics once again. I wonder if they'd planned more elaborate things for him to do, but they just sort of didn't have enough time for it. Because the cutscenes in Angel Island Zone are quite elaborate. There was a lot of effort put into them, but then the game, I don't really want to say it's a little bit sloppy, but you don't get as many cutscenes later on. I don't think that was supposed to happen. You still get that micro stutter when the water appears on screen. But yeah, Knuckles has turned the lights off. I suppose that's something. Actually, you might have noticed that there's no waves on the waterline. That used to be there in earlier Sonic games because there was some slight graphical glitches if you change the palette midway down the screen. But if you can see on the left there, there's a couple of pixels over there, but they don't need to be covered up. So it looks like old Yuji Naka was optimizing the code all along. Now sometimes there's secrets up there, but also sometimes the barrels just squash you. And you also have to be wary about running along the ceiling because you can get stuck. I think there's one place in this zone where I guess it's a collision box is missing and you end up getting stuck if you run along the ceiling. Yeah, this is quite a long zone, isn't it? So I was saying that again, I don't want to say it's sloppy, but there's not as many cutscenes, but also the music remix for the second act seems to be a lot more basic in some of these levels. So this one is almost identical. It's just a little bit more empty. That is the Barrel of Doom that people speak about. Now, I actually do remember not working that out the first time I played this, but I didn't get horribly stuck on it. I think I worked it out the second time I played this. I must have loaded it up from the save game and played the level again and just sort of worked it out. But yeah, it's true that there's a lot of people that got very, very stuck on that annoying red barrel. But this game does have some odd gimmicks in it. I mean, those platforms that you jump on, it sort of looks like red hot bubbles come out the bottom of them. I mean, I don't know, what is that supposed to be? Anyone could have pressed that button. You ain't special. Right, so almost 7 minutes. So that really was quite a long zone. This boss is much like the one from Hydra City Zone, but he doesn't give you any easy ways of hitting him, and there's no water, so you get pulled towards him regardless of how high you are. But you can be quite cheap. A lot of these bosses you can be quite cheap if you're willing to lose your rings and just hit him whilst you're invincible. You see, in this game they still carried over that whole rescuing animals thing. Oh, Tails, what happened? He's so buggy in this game. Now that is an introduction to a level. Oh yeah, so this is one of the levels that wraps vertically, so there's no water, but there is water in the second act in certain places. This is probably my favourite music, and I've said that about Hydra City, but I think this is probably my favourite music. This is another fast one, but it's also quite short. Blink and you'll miss it. But I think this level especially, they went to extra effort to make this look as nice as possible, because I think the pixel art in this game is as good as it can possibly be. That looks a bit weird. And it's actually an example of a game that looks better on real hardware, because there's certain little bits here and there where they use that, I don't know what to call it, but they'll draw straight lines next to each other, but it blends so well on the Mega Drive hardware that it comes out as a different colour, and they use that to perfection here. In fact, they even used that in Sonic 1, but they used it for a transparency effect for waterfalls. I think the term is headcanon. In my own headcanon, this is actually Hidden Palace Zone. To me, this is what Hidden Palace Zone would have looked like if they'd finished it. I'm sure most of you watching this video have seen Hidden Palace Zone, the work in progress versions of Sonic 2. I don't think the background art in that is very good. But the background in this does have those sorts of crystal structures in the background. They did actually have Hidden Palace in Sonic and Knuckles, come to think of it, but that does have its own completely different look. I think it uses line scrolling to get that sort of 3D effect on the icebergs in the water. The ones that are sort of midway down the screen. But this is another very fast-paced zone, so this level's really short. Yeah, so if you have a lightning shield, it does actually destroy those spiky ice balls around those enemies. You might notice that there's underground and overground sections to this. I think it actually updates the background graphics in real time. It just sort of pulls them from the cartridge, and you can see that there's always something masking it. Ooh, don't get that. It's one of those rare Robotnik boxes. So yeah, you see you've got this to cover up where the background actually changes. It's quite useful to have a lightning shield for the boss, so there is one up here if you don't have one already. This boss will just stay out of reach, you see, so having a lightning shield makes this a lot easier. Right, so that's over already. On to Launch Base Zone. Oh, another special stage. Ugh. I think I was showing off there a little bit. I don't know how many emeralds I get by the end of this playthrough. I certainly don't get all of them. I ended up cutting out a few of the special stages from the video just to make it a bit shorter. I didn't really expect Sonic 3 to make for such a long video that I had to make it into 2 parts. In my head it was always a very short game. Alright, so I've got 5 there. Is that the last one I get? I think this zone flows quite well, actually. Look at that, you've got that death egg looming in the background there. I'm not overly impressed with the green bushes at the bottom of the background though. The vast majority of the pixel art in this game is absolutely top notch, but there are just a few little bits here and there that I think could have been better. I think it's about time I spoke about Sonic Origins. The reason why I decided to play this game now was the release of Sonic Origins. It's taken me such a long time to do the video that Sonic Origins has been out for quite a few weeks now. I decided against buying Sonic Origins. I think one of the reasons is I just can't get past the fact that they replaced some of my favourite music from the game. Now overall, the whole package of Sonic Origins is really quite fantastic because you get all that extra stuff with it, as well as the 4 games in widescreen. When I go back to Sonic 3 and I listen to Launch Base Zone, Ice Cap Zone and the Act 1 boss, I just, maybe it's nostalgia. I just love the fact that they're so different from music you would typically get on a Japanese console. Look at that though, that looks really cool. I don't know why Robotnik had to build so much just to get his death egg back online. Oh, I'm stuck. I'll trap myself there. Don't get crushed by that. It's easy enough to do. This music though, I am convinced that this is one of the tunes that was made by Michael Jackson's team, but this is the one that uses the most samples. It definitely has a very different sound to it to the music that was made by Sega. And to be honest with you, I've always thought it was slightly inspired by Speed Demon. If you ever hear the bass line in Speed Demon, it does, I mean, lots of things sound like each other of course, but the bass line does sound quite similar in Speed Demon and this. They went mad with the goes in this one. But how unusual is it for a 16-bit game to have lyrics in the music? Even if it's only one word. There's definitely more music out there that just didn't get into the game. And we may never get proper answers, unfortunately. We're a little bit closer to the water here, and in certain parts of this level you do end up going underwater. And I do remember, if you're Knuckles, there's a completely different route. You go completely underneath, and there's a really quite tough section that you have to get through where it's all underwater but there's no air bubbles, which is probably here. It probably exists, but you just can't access it because you can't play as Knuckles. Actually, they did have Robotnik boxes in the 2-player split screen mode of Sonic 2. I used to play that quite a lot with my sisters, and the one thing that frustrated me in that was that there was random teleports and you couldn't turn them off. And so you could be doing a lot better than the other person and just swap places. And I think you swap how many rings you have as well. Right, so here we are on the boss. And there are actually 3 bosses, which on paper sounds like an epic finale. Okay, Tails, jump in. Off we go. The orange mountains in the background never looked good to me. It looked like they had tiny little 8 pixel by 8 pixel squares and they just sort of pasted them together in a sort of haphazard way. That's a nice big death egg. So here we go, the death egg is taking off, and of course people didn't know about Sonic and Knuckles at the time, so that was the last time you thought you would have seen Knuckles. And he just gets knocked off into the water and that's it. So you don't really get a proper showdown in this. This is a pretty cool boss, to be fair. All you have to do really is you have to just time it just right so you don't hit his hands and you don't hit the spikes on top. His hands will grab you and you'll get hit, but I think you can't collect your rings once you get hit. I think if he grabs you, you can't collect your rings again, I think. You do have to be careful though, because I've already spent 7 minutes, so if you go any slower than I did, then you really are at risk of just running out of time. I think a lot of magazines gave this game quite middling reviews at the time, where they were saying that they were a little bit bored of the same old formula. It's not as good as Sonic 2. But there you go, I've beaten the game. That is also the end of the video. That is Sonic 3. That's where I'll end it, so thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.